Today we're going to talk about one of the more important design tools that you will utilize as a trainer, and that is a lesson plan. Lesson plans are used by educators K through 12, higher education, everywhere you go up the line from teaching, and all the way up to being a trainer. Trainers use these also, especially when you're going to be training in person in a classroom setting, because you're going to need some sort of structure to what you're delivering. Online delivering, creating virtual sessions, not as important because you have all day to make it right before you publish it. But when you're in front of people, you got to get it right. The reason this is so important is really the same reason why an outline is so important when you're making a 20-page research paper. You could just start typing away at paragraph 1 and get all the way through, but you're probably going to end up rambling and your thoughts aren't going to come out right and your paper's not going to be the best it can be. If you give it structure, kind of like a blueprint, you can ensure that you're going to deliver the best thing you can deliver. So what we're going to do is kind of run through a quick little training session here. And so a good thing, if you're going to be a trainer, to do is create something like this and just save it like this. And this will be your template for creating training sessions. Your template lesson plan. That way, anytime you want to create a new training, all you have to do is open up this blank document and start typing. So let's say we're going to do a training on, today's training that I'm developing is how to create a training. There you go, there's your topic. It's going to be a train the trainer topic. And the date, let's say it's January 1st, 2018. Just throw out a date there. Why not? Everybody works then, right? And then we're going to need a time. We'll say it starts at, it goes from 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock p.m. It's a 1-hour training that we're going to be doing. This is important because we need to know how we break down all of our activities. And the location is going to be conference room. Which, by the way, if you're going to do a presentation on how to create a training, probably not the best idea to do it. So let's say conference room and computer lab. We're going to have to move these people around to make sure that they can learn all of the things they need to learn. Our audience are going to be trainers in training. And we'll set some objectives. Our objectives are going to be, we're going to show the ADDIE model, develop some techniques, and deliver a session. Now, your actual learning objectives are going to be way more in depth than that, because you're going to want to make sure that you touch on everything they need to know in order to create a training. And those 3 things are not all you need to know to create a training. But for brevity's sake, number 1, it's a 1-hour training session. And number 2, we don't have all day to do this because there's a finite amount of recording time we can have in any lecture. So let's just get to those 3 learning objectives and pretend this is the best. All right. So now that we've finished that, now we have to go in and we're going to start by laying out our activities. So the first activity is going to be an icebreaker. This is going to be where we welcome and play, and you'll have to name the game that you're going to play to do an icebreaker. And this one is the only one that's not going to speak to an objective. It's just going to get people to know each other, and this is going to take up 5 minutes. Now, where it says time here, you can either type how many minutes it's going to take, or you can give a timeline. Like if you were creating a longer session, you may want to say that this just goes from 2 o'clock to 2:05, because that will keep you on track as you're developing your materials, and as you're delivering it, you can say, oh, we're in the icebreaker right now. You look up, it's 2:06. We got to wrap this up and get on to the next activity. For my sake right now, for less typing, I'm just going to type 5 minutes. All right, and then we're going to do a PowerPoint lecture for the next activity, and this is going to be showing Addie. Let's do that correctly. This will speak to number 1, and that lecture, because we want to keep them short, is going to be about 8 minutes long. And then we are going to, after we show them the Addie, we're going to go down and we're going to do something like a group discussion, which step is the most difficult, and they can debate that and discuss that all they want for 7 minutes. And then we go on to the third one. As you can see, we just keep moving down and down until we get to the end. We have to make sure that our time does not go over the allotted time. We also have to make sure that as we're getting down to these sections, we're hitting all of the objectives, so that when we get done, we make sure all the objectives up here are shown in the activities that we're doing here. If we can do that, then we have accomplished our task, and we can get on with our actual development, the fun part of all of these things. We can make our PowerPoint lecture, we can come up with a more in-depth discussion question, we can come up with the game what we want to make for an icebreaker, and that'll be the next step when we actually go in and start making these things. Right now we're just planning on them and having them lay out so we know how much time we have to develop them into in order to have a good training. And there you have it. There's a pretty typical lesson plan for coming up with an effective training. As always, feel free to text, email, call with any questions you may have, and have a great week.